Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to start a new project, and I'm going to give you a bit of a tour on the Xcode interface and show you all the components that make it up. I know this can be a bit overwhelming at first, so I'm going to go through and explain everything as best I can, and if you are confused about something or there's something I didn't go over that you're wondering about, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the section below, and I will answer it as best I can. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up the Xcode SDK. I keep mine over here on my dock because it's way easier to access. And this is what you're going to see when you first open it up, minus all these projects here if it's your first time. What this is the Xcode splash screen, and it shows you the most recent projects that you've been working on, as well as a few other options like open another project that's not shown here, and you could get started with Playground. What this is something newly introduced in Xcode version 6, and this is kind of a cool dynamic way to test code out. We'll get into this at one point, but what it is in the most basic terms is it allows you to see what's going on in your code. So you could see how variables change, or you could see what colors are assigned to certain variables at certain point in time, etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to just create a new Xcode project. And this is what you're going to see. Xcode is an SDK for both iOS and OS X, so you can have options for developing for both of those. We're going to develop for iOS because this is teaching you how to develop for iOS. So click Applications under that, and you'll see a bunch of a few templates here that Apple has pre-built for us. And these are templates based on some of the more popular app styles. For instance, Master Detail application. You see this in a lot of apps such as Contacts or Email. So these are pretty much presets, and we're going to go ahead and just click Single View Application. And the next screen is going to prompt you to enter a name for your product. Just go ahead and enter My First App, because this is the app that I'm going to use for the next video to actually teach you how to program iOS applications. And for organization name, this is pretty much your company name, and same with the organization identifier. This is a reverse DNS, which is a reverse domain name service, and you're going to enter com dot, what your organization name is. Just copy what I have for now or enter what you want. This is really only important when you're submitting apps to the App Store, so it doesn't matter for now. The language. Apps are built using two languages, either Objective-C or Apple's new language called Swift, which was introduced this summer of 2014. So we're going to go ahead and use Objective-C for this course. I'm eventually going to get to Swift. The reason I'm choosing Objective-C is because I'm an iOS developer for a living, and the apps that I work on for my company are written in Objective-C, along with the majority of apps out right now due to Swift being so new that at this point it's still fine to learn Objective-C. And if you want to get into iOS development, you're going to have to learn Objective-C anyway, so you might as well just start now. And then we're going to choose iPhone for now. Don't check off core data. Make sure this is unchecked. We're not going to use this right now. What this is, in the most basic terms, is it's a built-in storage method for your applications, which we'll get to at a later time. Click Next, and then pick where you want to save it. And you can have this checked on or off. This is one of the coolest things about Xcode. It's Xcode's built-in version control. For those of you that don't know what version control is, it's pretty much a backup method. It allows you to back up the working versions of your app. So when you make changes to your apps, you could back up the working version before you make those changes. So if you mess something up, you just go back to that working version, which is pretty useful. So create, and this is what you're going to see when you first create your app here. So we'll get into this the best way we can. So when you first get into Xcode, you're going to see a bunch of information about your project, like the bundle identifier that we entered earlier, as well as devices, what kind of orientation you want your app to run on, etc. And we can get into all this later, but for right now it's not too important. The most important thing is just learning the components that make up this screen you see here. So on the far left we have the project the navigator area, which allows you to navigate through your project, and you can open up multiple tabs here which allow you to do different things. The first most far tab on the left that shows a folder icon, this is the one you'll be using the most. which shows you a pretty much hierarchical view of your project, and you can see all the folders here with all the files in here. And it also contains like a debug viewer here with breakpoints, or you could search your whole project. So this is a pretty useful area right here. The next area we're going to see is the editor area, which is the big middle area here. And this is called the editor area because, as you can see, this is where we edit our source code and anything to do with our application directly. So this is where we're going to be working the most. The next part is the utility area, which is on the far right. And what this does is it allows you to view properties of certain things you have selected. For instance, I'm going to select this file here, and it'll show me what it's connected to, and what view controller it's connected to, as well as other information. Down here is the object library, which you're going to be using when you create your interface for your application. You could drag interface tools such as labels and buttons, and they're all right here. And the next part is the debug area. The debug area shows you problems that arise, be them syntax or logical errors in your app. Anytime you want to write a debugging method or anything to do with debugging, it'll show up in the console right here at the bottom of the screen. And then the next area is the toolbar, which is up here, and this is a very useful area because it contains a lot of buttons that you'll come to learn are very useful, such as the assistant editor, which opens up two editor areas, so you could work on code side by side, or you could build the interface while working on its source file. So that's extremely useful. It also allows you to run the app in the simulator, which I explained in the first video that I made, which is if you're not an Apple developer paying $99 a year, you could run your apps from Xcode on a simulator, which you can go ahead and click play, and you can see that the simulator will come up. Right now we don't have anything, so it's going to come up as a blank application. But once we start putting stuff on the interface, you'll be able to see it in real time, which is one of the best parts about development in general, is its instant gratification. You build stuff and then click run and you see it right away, so that's pretty cool. A few more cool little things about Xcode are you could pick what phone you want to view your app in. You can view iPhone 4S or an iPhone 5, 5S. Some other things are you could mitigate the view here. So if this panel here is not of use right now and it's taking up your view, you could just click this button and it will get rid of that. Same thing with the debugger or the utility area. So you could technically run just the editor area and code on a bigger screen, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of different cool little things you could figure out about Xcode, which I will teach you along the way. In this video, I pretty much just taught you the general aspects of what make up the interface, and we'll go more into depth with those once we need to use them. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you learned something about the Xcode interface, and if there's anything that was confusing to you or anything that you would like to know that I didn't explain in this video, just like I said, don't hesitate to post a comment. I would be happy to answer you whenever I get the chance. And just stay tuned, subscribe, watch the next upcoming videos, because I will actually be teaching you the language and how to put together your own applications.